So here we have an iPhone 5s, a pretty old phone. Now the batteries for these phones don't last that long because they are very long, and maybe because the batteries are not great overall. What you can do is to just install an application from the App Store. I have this one called Battery Life, and this one will display the battery health. In this case we have a battery that is charged to 97%. The battery life is 42 and it's saying bad. If it was in a good condition, it would have been 100% here. So when this phone is fully charged, it is actually charged to a maximum of 42-44%, and that means that it will last half of what it should last. So we can actually do some tweaks in order to optimize the battery usage, so the phone will drain slower, the battery will drain slower. So let's begin. First of all, you go to settings and you go to privacy, location services. It's usually good to just leave this turned off, and when you're using an app that requires location, you can just turn it on. Like Tinder, for example, this one requires location. When you start Tinder, you can just turn it on. Also, you can also leave it turned on and set individual for each app. Like Tinder, you can check it too while using the app. And for the rest that you don't use, like Safari weather, you can just leave it to never. Okay, let's move on. Also from privacy, so settings, privacy, you scroll down to analytics, and here you need to have these two options turned off, otherwise the phone will just send data to Apple in the background, and this will slightly drain the battery. So you need to have these options turned off. Also, I'm going to turn off the location. Another thing you can do is to close the apps that run in the background once in a while. You can do that by double tapping the home button, and just slide everything up and they are closed. Only the main home screen is open. Now if the batteries stay in the background, they will consume a bit of battery, and it's a good idea to just close them once in a while. Next we have the notifications. You go to settings, then you go to notifications, and here you can find all the apps on your phone, and some of them have notifications turned on, like Find iPhone. This will display pretty much everything, or let's say YouTube. Now if you have some apps that you don't really use, you don't want to see notification in the header, you can just turn off. For example, let's say I have this app for my Oculus Go. So usually by default it looks like this. Now I don't want to see anything, I just turn everything off, and that's it. And as you turn off for pretty much every app, the battery will be drained slower, because this is also draining the battery a bit, the notifications, because the data is fetched all the time and notification will just appear for the phone. So just turn off anything that you don't use. Moving on, we have the widgets on the window from the left, the most left window for the phone. Here, right now I don't have any widget, but by default the iPhone comes with a few widgets pre-installed, pre-applied. So let's say that you have the weather widget, which might look like this. So this widget actually is an app that is running all the time on your phone, and this is consuming the battery. Now if you don't want this, you don't want any widget, you might have like Gmail, tips and useless stuff. Maybe the weather is not useless, but you can just check the weather from directly from the app. So we can just get rid of every widget by clicking on this icon, remove, and then done, and the window will just be empty. You'll only see the date, the current date. Okay, let's move on. We have background app refresh. You can do that from settings, general, and the option background app refresh. As you can see, I have it turned off. Alright, so now I'm in low power mode. 1 second. So general background app refresh. Okay, so by default you will have this option enabled here, and you might have a lot of apps with the option enabled as well. Now I only need this for Gmail, so when I receive a new email I want to be announced, so to receive the top notification. For any other apps like these two from the top shopping apps, I don't want to receive any notification, and neither for YouTube, weather, Skype or whatever. So I just leave it for Gmail. Also, as you have more apps that will refresh in the background, this will also consume more battery. So it's a good idea to just limit for what you're using the most. Next we have the auto lock option, which can be set to minimum, which is 30 seconds. You go to display and brightness from the settings, auto lock, and you have 30 seconds. By default I think this is set to 2 minutes. So this means that when the screen is left turned on, it will auto turn off after 30 seconds, or depending on what you have set here. So 30 seconds is minimum, just leave it like this. Now there is another option to disable the visual effects, meaning that when you press, like you're on this window, you press the home button, you will see this nice effect specific for iPhones. Like everything goes down to the settings. Now if you can turn this off, and when you press the home button everything will just fade away, but this visual effect is just too nice to not have it. Like when you press the settings, everything will just slide up really nicely. You can just leave this up. You can also disable Siri if you don't use this. We have Siri on the 5S as well. Just disable it. I keep it enabled because I'm using it sometimes to just set alarms or reminders, so for me it's useful. It doesn't consume that much battery, but we're talking here about optimizing as much as possible. Maybe your battery is in an even worse state than mine, which is at 40%. And obvious, if you don't know about this, you can just put the phone into low power mode. This will also reduce the battery drain, but will also reduce the iPhone performance. However, if you're using this phone, I guess you're just using it to send and make calls, make and receive calls, maybe YouTube, maybe Gmail, various simple apps, calculator and all. I guess you don't play advanced games because those will just drain the battery too fast. So you don't need that much performance on your 5S. The problem is when the phone is fully charged at 100%, it will ask you all the time to set it to disable this option for lower power mode. This is annoying. You can just keep this option enabled all the time. Even though this would be good, but once in a while when you really need your battery, you can just go and turn this option on. And that's pretty much it. You can also reduce the number of apps that you have installed. Just keep what you really need the most, like this app of mine, which is useful. It's just a fun app to have. So yeah, now you can start optimizing your iPhone 5S, which is still a great phone in 2019. The build quality is just top notch. The screen display is just beautiful. You have a retina display. The sound is amazing, even better than the current day phones. Maybe not the most expensive ones, but definitely this phone is regarding sound at least, and display, maybe it's even better than the current modern cheap or medium level phones. So it's good to have around, like every Apple product. The quality is just too good, and it's a shame to just put this phone on the shelf and forget about it. Unless you can just buy a new iPhone 11 or 10, and even 8, 7, those are still really good phones. So if you found this video useful, please subscribe to my channel. That will really help me. Thank you for watching. If you have comments, leave in the comments suggestions or questions, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.